Something where you're going.
Meeting's 7 o'clock. We'll call it meeting to order. Everybody stand on the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like to do roll call?
Mr. Burke?
Yo.
Mr. Hand?
Yep.
Mr. Gruber?
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan? Here. Ms. Wozniak? Here. Mrs. Vanderwater?
Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes we had on June 18th of 2025? I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Roger, seconded by Mike. All opposed? Motion passes. Got a couple citizen comments tonight. I think we'll wait for Rick Energy, if that's okay. Maria Southerton,
Yes.
would you like to speak?
I think they're all here.
Yeah,
Oh, we all for the same
we're all
thing,
here
you need
together.
Xavier?
Yes.
Okay, all right, well, we'll wait on that. Okay, sorry about that. Budget transfers, we're gonna cut that out. We have none tonight. Can I get a motion to approve the issuance of the trash hauler license for dependable disposal, Morgan rubbish removal, and Butler disposal?
I'll make that motion.
Jim, seconded by Roger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Is Dan back where she was here? There it is. Dan, would you like to speak as a representative for Oka tonight?
Sure. Not much to report. Since I've only been on the board 2 months, been to 3 meetings, and the main focus of the Oka board right now seems to be dealing with the outages, or the outage at the incinerator earlier in the spring, and the causes and the ramifications of that. Typically the cause is a maintenance issue. They shut it down, they replaced a, kind of a filter or a pressure valve, and the pressure valve blew and they couldn't figure out why. Blah, blah, technical stuff.
This is what caused all those delays as far as the haulers being
The
able,
haulers all being backed up and,
they had overtime through the roof,
Well,
etc.
I think it's like I'm looking at it as an outsider looking in at this point, and it's a compounding of problems. They shut down Lake Creek and they tore it down, which was their backup plan if the other thing goes out of whack. Well, they shut it down and it didn't work. So they suffered from that. And everything we've been dealing with since then has been a fallout of that event. So, from looking to hire additional contractors to haul the trash someplace else in case of an emergency, that kind of stuff. But fortunately, they reacted very quickly and got it under control. It could have been a lot worse than it was. And it also goes back to, I don't know if you know this, you probably do, it was a surprise to me that the plant is actually run by contract, not by county employees.
Right.
And the company that has the contract was bought out by a
It was Covan.
private equity firm, and they really haven't been paying much attention to it. So, county now, the Oprah board, behind Kevin Spillane, has, put them on notice, say you guys got to shape up and do this the right way. And I think that's going to get resolved. It's looking pretty good, actually. The second thing we've been dealing with is equipment. I'm going to go back to when I was just sitting in the town board. One of the things we had we learned the hard way is when you buy all your equipment at the same time, it all goes bad at the same time. And that's exactly what the county, what Oakwood is dealing with now. All their equipment was, their heavy equipment, their trucks, their payload, everything was bought in 2017. Everything. And everything's failed. So, and nobody had the foresight to put in a, let's phase this replacement deal. Well, now they are. So that's good. The other thing that, of course, we're most interested in is Site 31. And there really hasn't been much discussion about Site 31 other than they're talking about, well, obviously they're continuing on with the permit, renewing the permit, the licensing. And after that, they're discussing alternative sites to Seneca Meadows, which would be Oswego and/or Madison County, and potentially the waste beds in Pinellas. I was looking at that. I know that the chairman or the executive director is in direct negotiation and direct talks with the county exec about Lake 31 and the potential for its use for other things, but there's nothing really coming to the Oakwood board as anything concrete or firm in that regard. So, I think as far as the town of Van Buren is concerned, what we have to do is just be vigilant and watch what's going on at the Oakwood board. And I'm not sure, sitting in my seat as a member of the board, I'm going to get the information that I need, or that I should say that. I'll get the same information as anybody else gets. I'm not going to get any inside baseball tips from these guys. So.
Is there any chance there's wheeling and dealing going on that you're not privy to?
Well, I'm sure there is. Okay? I'm sure there's talks going on between, and he's put it in his executive minutes, between him and the county executive. But the detail of those discussions has not been released to anybody, as far as I know. And that's where I'm at.
Have you been appointed to subcommittees?
Yeah, I'm on the recycling subcommittee.
Recycling, okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting stuff too. I had this went from a 1 meeting a month deal for me to I've been still going to like 4 meetings a month. And I've had meetings with, I think, private meetings with every department head. So I got a pretty good idea about what their individual problems are. But that's where I'm at, and I think that's where the committee's at. I think in a lot of ways, the board, it's not really a committee, it's the board of directors, is on a react basis right now. It's like, let's handle each problem as it comes up. And there's not, they're trying to look forward, but when you look forward, it's kind of hard to look forward when the guy behind you is sticking in back. So.
How's the Lake Creek project going? Is that on schedule?
That's an interesting. I
on
think
budget?
Something slipped out in the last meeting that I hadn't heard before. And I think that's going to be in a delayed situation for quite some time. And I think what happened is they found buried asbestos on the site. Okay. And so and I don't think that's private. I don't think that, nobody said that has to be secret.
That was probably foreseeable.
So, I think that's going to, they really don't know what the impact of that's going to be, but I'm sure it's not going to be fun.
No. The only other question is, did they give a timeline on the DEC permit as far as how much?
I haven't heard it.
Okay. That's a several month process. I mean, going back and forth with them, but it's a multi-year permit once we get it, right?
Yeah. And I think it's going to take a while. It doesn't happen. I remember when the first time we did it, it took forever for them to get it. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Thank you.
Any questions?
Good. No, thank you very much for keeping us informed.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what I know when I know it.
Thank you, Ken. Alright. Number 4 on our agenda is the authorize the supervisor to sign the grant of easement with Niagara Mohawk Power and Verizon relative to the Nexamp tax parcel number 042.01-03.1. Looks like they are going to be installing off Kingdom Road
I was just gonna
a
ask where this was. Oh, gun barrel.
gun barrel. It's not too far from it. It's on Kingdom Road. Looks like they're gonna be installing a lamp post or a telephone pole to have access for both Niagara Mohawk and for Verizon. And I,
mean Verizon is coming to that area?
looks like the easement's going to be to both entities. So it looks like it could be the start of bringing it up that way.
That part was in the expansion that the county has invested about 15 million in. So, you know, it could, I know they started in the southern tier and some of the western part of the county because they were the most underserved. But that section is also underserved.
Yes, I would agree to that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. You're calling.
We'll go with Jen and then Darcy for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, so our last item for tonight is the RIC energy presentation. If Kevin, if you would like to come up and state your name and address and
Whomever.
Or whomever.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
So, my name is Rob Chiarolo. I am the Director of New York Solar Development at RIC Energy. I'm going to pass out some preliminary sketch plans for you to look on. Kevin is preoccupied. I thought we had another half an hour before you started, so.
Rob, if you have any extras that you can just leave them on Lynn.
Sure. And with that, I mean, Kevin, would you want to give kind of a brief introduction as to, I believe RIC previously had.
Well, I appeared before the board. I won't remember the exact dates, but 2 years ago or so, the minutes I could look at, that said January 2024. But I wonder if it's like me, they were thinking 2000. No, yeah, they were thinking around here, but maybe not. Anyhow, when I came before, we were in kind of a exploratory time frame where we were looking at some specific properties. Myself and a lady introduced the concept to the town. I'll be honest, there was some initial skepticism expressed. A lot of it made sense to me. And then I came back 3 more times, and each time it got seemingly more and more favorable. But again, those minutes are already a year ago, year and a half now, or longer. Some of the problems were significant. Some of the real problems were significant. And that's why it's taken us this long to come back in front of you. We spent a fair amount of effort and time trying to resolve what might be the problems that we presented before. And I think mostly we were able to, that'll be your decision, but at least we put some effort into it. With me, Rob might have already introduced himself, but I will say he's the director of our development department and director of environmental affairs and permitting. Tom is a senior project manager that's been assigned this project and placed up the weight they had a couple years ago, Greener Pastures, I suppose. So he's kind of taken over, and I will, unless there's something else I wanted to mention, just sit down and shut up.
Appreciate it, Kevin. I'll tag you in if anything comes back your way. So I appreciate you all taking the time to meet with us. Following Kevin speaking with you all back in January 2024, we kind of took the comments received, looked at the parcel, which is located along Van Buren Road, and put together a design, submitted to the planning board, and had discussed the project with the planning board. At the first meeting, which was in December of 2024, they had some concerns regarding the sewer district overlay, and I think generally just some opposition to solar in respect to the preservation of farmland. And we also came to light through speaking with the supervisor, Wendy, that there's been a substantial push for residential housing in the area, given the Micron development in Clay, New York. So we definitely heard the comments received, went back to the drawing board again to try and put together a project that we feel like is a really good middle ground, addressing some of the concerns that have been voiced to us, while still, I think, fulfilling some of the wishes of the landowner and compromising some aspects of the project, but essentially finding that median and compromise on both sides. Just so you're aware of some of the project level details. So what we had initially proposed was a 7.6 megawatt project, and we've reduced that to 5.75 megawatts. The previous footprint was approximately 42 acres, and again, that's dropped in parallel to 34 acres. The previous proposed interconnection had overhead lines that tied into Van Buren Road, as well as pad-mounted lines that tied into Peck Road. This newly proposed layout that's in front of you, again, draft form, just to kind of get the conversation going, but removes those overhead proposed lines on Van Buren Road, and it would just be pad-mounted and underground equipment interconnecting to Peck Road, so less of an impact there. And then one other concession that we made with the design was the setback to the project from the closest point of the road initially was 423 feet. We're now at just over 1,000 feet. So we have essentially pushed the project as far west and off the road as possible and consolidated the array location. And then while doing that, opened up approximately a third of the property for additional residential lots. So on the paper, you can see those lots, there's 20 spots for new lots. Those adhere to the min lot size for the R40 zone. So those would be 40,000 square feet or larger, which is 0.9x, just under an acre. So that's just giving you a ballpark of how that's laid out. The total acreage of that residential portion, including that wetland up there, is approximately 30 acres. So that's just giving you kind of the lay of the land and how that site is broken up. What we aim, I guess, to achieve out of this meeting is to get some initial feedback from the board, to see what your thoughts are, if you have any further concerns, and yeah, we welcome any feedback. We really do want to try and keep this project moving forward while working with the town, and we do welcome any feedback that would be available, so we can put together the best possible design.
Do you own the entire parcel?
So the landowners are actually here with us this evening. So the parcel is currently being leased from them.
Okay.
And I think, and please jump in if I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I think a large part of the reason why solar is attractive to landowners is it gives them the ability to retain the property. It's, paying taxes on farmland can definitely add up. And it allows them at the end of the life of the project, they still retain that property. The housing, the subdivision, they understand that would be they would have to cede on that. But I think at a high level right now, everyone on our side is in agreement that if that's what it would take to save a portion of the property, that they're open to that. So.
The housing piece then is totally separate, right? I mean, you guys are in energy, right? So you would subdivide it, sell it to a developer. This is more like conceptual of what could be the possibility, right?
And I mean, we're looking for early stage buy-in, and we can explore options further if we feel like, we're headed in the right direction. As it stands, we would probably propose the subdivision as a condition of approval or conditional of the approval of the solar project. That way the landowner isn't left with a bunch of 21-acre lots and not the project as well. So yes, we would handle the subdivision. Beyond that, we're open to discussing whether we would communicate with developers and try and bring them on board, or the landowner would do that, or if the board has some.
It's fair that it's a little unknown right now. I'm just trying to understand who's responsible for what.
Understood.
Would it be proper and fair, and this might be a reiteration of what you just said, but our assumption before, like yesterday, was we probably end up getting a subdivision approval, if it's approvable, and designing the roadways, and if any grading, I don't know that's needed, but up to that point, we probably don't see ourselves building houses because it's hard to predict the market, but that's the minimum we were thinking we needed to do.
Yep. Yeah. So as part of that,
Some basic infrastructure.
yes, we could definitely we facilitate the entrance, make sure it complies with the zoning requirements in light of the subdivision. Probably coordinate if sewer lines were to be brought to that property location. Negotiate and coordinate sewer location and water lines as well.
Since the town attorney's not here, I'm gonna step out of my area of expertise a little bit, but it's just not allowed in the county sewer district for our town code. So what you're asking would be to have the town adopt a local law amending their code to allow this. This is something they've been adamant about, keeping the county sewer district open for development, and the other half of the town can have solar in any of the RE districts.
I do hear what you're saying, and I guess there's multiple approaches and ways that we could face that. So a use variance, by definition, is an application that will address a proposed use that is not allowed. So a use variance could be applied for, whether the zoning board feels against that, I would say that.
I think that's the struggle. It's the consolidated sanitary district and the fact that we may not ever be able to get that expanded. So that's what's ripe for development, and that's what could have access to sewers someday. Solar doesn't really need that. And so that's why I think our push is to not have solar within the CSD. But, it's a preference. Certainly there are options, but for now, I think we'd really like to see the CSD be the area that's built out with other single-family homes, patio homes, townhomes, whatever you want to call them.
Sure.
But that's what our community needs right now.
Sure, and I certainly can appreciate that, and I guess I do hear you, and I do ask though to put yourself in the landowner's shoes in this instance. if the town and the county has a vision for private property that's not owned for them, I respect that, I definitely do. I understand there's a need for it. But to almost dictate what you think they can do or should do, I know it's in the zoning code, but saying, we think it should be this. I mean, I asked, if you were the landowner, you said, we really want to retain the property and we think solar's a great way to do it. And, we're willing to give up a little bit and, give up 30 acres for this to make that compromise and kind of go past that. That's, I feel like, a pretty tough spot to be in, because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily their responsibility to say, we're going to subdivide and provide housing or whatever.
No, it could be forever green, ultimately. So, but that's the whole point of having I guess I take a little issue with the dictate. That's why there's a comprehensive plan. That's why there's a whole book of codes and zones, that we have laid out and that we're updating right now. And in the process of updating, maybe we do make some decisions about what's allowable in some of this area. But I guess to the engineer's point too, we'd like to see if within the CSD we can build out and we can expand our sewers and attract more residents to our town. So I guess that ultimately is my goal. I won't speak for the whole board.
No, I understand. And yeah, not just, I may have misused the word dictate, but
I understand. Trust me, I will speak for, there isn't a single person on this board that likes to tell people what they can or can't do with their property. But there has to be rules, and there should be less exceptions to the rules than there are. And that's what, a good comprehensive plan process hopefully will get us to, where we have less variance requests. That's really what the goal would be. Not that they'll ever go away completely, but, and I don't want to monopolize this, that's just my 2 cents, but.
There are counterpoints that we could talk about quite a bit, but I'm not sure tonight's the best night to do that. One would be, by the time our lease is up, there'll be probably 20 houses there, or 19 or 18 or 12. And if the town need was for more, and that could be what solar becomes later. If the landowners want more houses, I'm thinking right now they didn't want any. So, like I say, it could be green space, but that's not accomplishing the town's code goal either. I'll stop with that counterpoint and just say whether or not the zoning board would take it into consideration. I'm hopeful, but we'll find out, I guess. But it's probably the next stop at some point when we're really, really ready after we hear back from you.
And to your point you made, that there is use variance for zoning, but this isn't a zoning issue. This is town code and the solar portion of the code. It's a whole separate law. It's not a zoning issue to get a use variance for. And I think that's the point that the planning board made to you guys before, essentially saying you had to come back to town board to see if they're interested in changing the law before they could even consider the project. We're going back a while, but that's how I.
Counterpoints, that seems to be a very good one. Let's scratch our heads on that.
Okay.
So if I may, I'd like to describe to you guys a little bit about what our thought process is as the landowners.
Sure. Feel free, please. You just state your name and address, please, for us.
My name is Xavier Aguirre. My address is 6884 North Brickyard Road, Warners. And the property that we're discussing is 7121 Penn Buren Road, 3 different parcels there. My sister and I own that. So what I wanted you guys to hear from me, and hopefully I can convey this, that our upbringing was one with nature and land. We have brought that with us, and it's part of us. We don't want to see that gone in any fashion that would limit us from enjoying the land, that would limit us from not having it anymore, because we were born that way, we were raised that way, and we're moving in that same direction with our kids, with our siblings. So our desire at this point in time is to continue for another generation with that land as it is. And solar can help us provide the economics to maintain it, and at the same time, it still belongs to us, allowing it for future development, whatever our next generation is going to decide on doing. So our commitment and our values are to stick with this for some few decades more, and not go into the direction of the subdivision. I know I tried to do that before with one part of the land on the east side, and that didn't work to my liking. It didn't feel right. So the next thing is we'll keep it as farmland. We'll use it for food, and we'll see where the next generation takes it.
Do you lease it now for farming?
Yes, the Schultens use it for crops.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I guess just a question, you could say hypothetical. So if the issue around the restriction for the sewer district was met, would there be any additional concerns, I guess, from the board's perspective at this time, or is it just that solely?
I think it's a little premature to really sit there and think about it. Something that we
Yeah,
have to
it's
sit.
something we would want to bring back and discuss.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's not,
Yeah.
we're not actually prepared to say anything one way or the other this evening, what our thoughts are on it.
No, understood, I respect that. I
No,
just know if you had
exactly.
any initial thoughts, you know, just look.
Yeah, we don't have the supervisor here tonight, and it would be very nice to have her opinion brought in on it. So it's something I think us as a board would like to discuss.
Realize we
Yeah.
have at least a few of the numbers up there, not sure about all of them, but they did voice concerns a year or two ago, and we've got those recorded and largely attempted to be addressed, or maybe even addressed. So we can go through those again and check back.
Definitely. I just wanted to see if there were any fresh thoughts with the new layout. I know you haven't had a ton of time to review it.
Yeah, I need more than 10 minutes.
I know.
Do you have electric copies?
Yeah, we can definitely, I believe we send an electronic copy to Wendy, but I can.
Yes, you did. Yeah, we have that.
I
We
can,
can print them up.
if there's any additional documents required too, we'd be happy to circulate those with you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, folks.
So we'll be in touch.
Thanks for your time, I do appreciate it too. That's wonderful.
Okay.
Talking to all of our landowners, we're articulate heads here, so.
That should be the end of what's on our session. We'll go right into committee reports and comments. I'll start all the way down at the end with Mike.
I got nothing this week.
We'll go with Roger.
I have nothing.
Ms. Sullivan.
I don't have anything except for have a wonderful, safe 4th of July long weekend.
She Pat Dickman dust, I appreciate that. I don't have anything tonight either. So shout out for Pat Dickman.
Yep. The only thing I want to mention is our survey is available on our
Yes.
town website. So we are asking the community to please do the survey. All your comments and everything will come to great use when we put together our land use program. Other than that, we'll go to highway.
Nothing yet.
Town engineer.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
That being said, take a motion to adjourn to our regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Mike,
Let's try to get out of
second.
town. I'll abstain.
You abstain? Roger?
I'll say.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you and have a good night. Happy 4th of July.